Good evening and welcome back to the Today with Tally podcast. Folks, we have a great show in store for you today. A story of strength through determination, survival, perseverance, resilience, the hallmarks of a true soldier and a true patriot. We will be joined by U.S. Army Staff Sergeant, retired combat veteran Bradley Gruetzner. But first,
hello, friends, and welcome to another exciting episode of Today with Tally. The mission and goal of this podcast is to bring an engaging conversation that will add value to the lives of everyday people. We will inspire, encourage, educate, and tell the stories of America's finest men and women in an effort to motivate you to live your life to its fullest potential. Be sure to follow us on social media and search Today with Tally. Be sure to subscribe, follow, and share the program as well. Ladies and gentlemen, your host of the evening, Mr. Brian Tally.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I bring in our special guest today, retired U.S. Army Staff Sergeant, combat veteran Bradley Gruetzner, I want to set this up. In November of 2006, Bradley and his crew were conducting a patrol to find terrorists that were responsible for the deaths of his replaced Army unit. Now, while traveling as part of a 5-vehicle convoy, if you will, Bradley's HUMVEE struck a deep-buried 600-pound IED consisting of 2 anti-tank mines and multiple propane tanks. Now, Bradley's vehicle was completely destroyed, leaving him severely injured. And, unfortunately, 3 of his crew and fellow soldiers were killed in action on that fateful day in August of 2006. Because of that, Bradley's injuries have left him with an amputated right hand, multiple broken bones, severe T.B.I, and several internal intestinal injuries, while he remained in a coma for 6 weeks after this injury. Now, after 40 surgeries and survivor's guilt, Brad has struggled with the physical pain and the emotional challenges of coping with the loss of his comrades. And what is he doing about it now? Well, unfortunately, he has had his own bouts with suicide, but he has stood up and he has faced this adversity head on. And he is doing his best now to honor those that he lost on that day in August of 2006 to tell their stories in a meaningful way. This guy has spent more than 80 days of his time, 18,000 miles, crisscrossing the U.S. on outdoor adventures with veterans. Bradley has decided to commit his life to helping other veterans heal by spending time outdoors. And with that, we are honored to be joined by retired U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Bradley Gruetzner. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, man. One day at a time, buddy. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Awesome, man. Well, we met a while back, about a year or so ago in the Woodlands at a fundraiser that you guys were doing for the Helping a Hero, the 100 Homes Challenge that was sponsored by Bass Pro Shops. And it looks like they're raising some money for you to get a home.
Yes, sir. It's being built as we speak.
Outstanding. Now, where exactly is this home being built?
Victoria, Texas.
Outstanding. Now, whereabouts is Victoria?
Pretty much in between Houston and Corpus.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I'm in the Houston area, but I've only been here for 3 years. So I'm still learning my way around the Texas map, but you were born and raised in Piney Woods, a small East Texas town in Palestine. What was it like growing up in East Texas?
I grew up out in the outdoors, so I did a lot of hunting and fishing. Back then it was a small town. It's not so small anymore.
Now, you would go through all of your high school years in Palestine, and you would end up joining the army. What inspired you to want to enlist in the army?
A bunch of bad things that I caused myself. And I woke up one day and was just tired of it, and I was like, I got to get out of here.
So that was your ticket out
Yes,
of your small East Texas town, was to essentially join the army.
yes, sir.
And that would ultimately take you to Fort Knox, Kentucky, where you became an armor crewman. Describe that MOS for us.
I was the MOS. You're on a tank, M1A2 Abrams battle tank. But I never did that. I was always on Humvees. So when I got back from my first trip to Iraq, I reclassed to be a scout.
And that's so after your first deployment, you came back, you reclassed, you had to go through that completely different MOS school, correct?
Yeah.
And then it was your second trip back to Iraq is when the injury and the ultimate combat related wounds of war, if you will, happen, right?
Exactly.
Now, you would deploy again for a second time in August of 2006 when you made
Yes.
your way back over to Iraq for your second deployment. And just 3 short months later, your life would be forever changed. Now, I know you spent quite a while in a coma. Can you recount what that day was like from when you woke up in the morning on that day in November 15th of 2006, and kind of where that day would ultimately end up leading to?
It was just another day in the sand. We got ready like we normally did, had a safety briefing, got the vehicles lined up, got ready to go, and it was just another mission. It wasn't nothing out of the ordinary.
Describe the missions that you would do over there, Bradley.
They're all pretty different. They had a 1-800 number that Iraqis could call and report something suspicious. So it might be 1 o'clock in the morning. We get a call from higher that we got to go out and check out this possible IED, or go check out this car is suspicious. But mostly what we did was just find bad guys.
Mm-hmm. Find bad guys and eliminate the bad guys.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Now, when you were traveling in your convoys, if you will, did you guys ever have close air support, or did you have any capabilities to find these IEDs that were buried in the roads?
Every now and then there was a plane that would fly over, a C-130, and it would find IEDs. We were so far away from any military fob or anything like that it might take 2 days for EOD to get out there.
And you didn't have 2 days to be sitting out there, obviously. And so a lot of the times you guys are doing as-built, if you will. You're kind of, looking at what's going on and making the best decisions that you most possibly can during that specific time, correct?
Exactly.
Now, you would end up rolling over a 600-pound IED that also consisted of 2 anti-tank mines and multiple propane tanks. Now, do these guys have excavators out there that are burying this? Like, how do these bad guys bury a 600-pound IED, anti-tank mines, and multiple propane tanks?
I don't know exactly what it was. That's what I was told that the Air Force investigators had found out. But some of these, they'll do it in sections. Like some guy will come in and dig the hole, and then a couple weeks later, another guy comes in and puts the ordnance in the hole, and then it might be a month. Somebody comes by and fill it and covers the hole up. They're smart.
So, yeah, everything that they're doing over there is very strategic. I mean, obviously, they've got to do it under the cover of night or whatever it may be, because you guys could be rolling through and see the construction, if you will, of these holes and the ordnance going into the holes. Did you ever roll up on a scene where they were maybe halfway done and you were able to stop what they were going to do?
I think we found a couple of them like that where they weren't able to get the wires buried good enough, and somebody seen the wires and we stopped and called EOD and they came and dug it up.
Now, were you driving that Humvee that day?
No, sir. I was the truck commander. I was in the front right passenger seat.
And how many soldiers were in this Humvee?
There was 5 total. Me
and
my lived.
So there was 5 of you guys, and now I've seen the pictures, folks. Have you ever seen a Tesla that has been burned? These when these Teslas burn, they burn down to the asphalt, and then they even burn the asphalt. These batteries, these high-end lithium batteries, they burn for days. That's what this wreckage looked like in the Humvee that Bradley was in. I can't even begin to explain how lucky you are to be alive, and the second lease on life that you have been given. Unfortunately, bad things do happen in this life, and you lost 3 of your fellow soldiers that were in that Humvee. Now, when this all happened, do you recount what that energy felt like? Was it just like an explosion and just white bright lights, or do you recount any of what happened after you rolled over that IED?
The last thing I remember is I was leaned over talking on the hand mic, and then I woke up and I was at Brooklyn Medical Center.
So you're on the radio and then you wake up 6 weeks later.
Yeah.
What were the first words you spoke?
I don't remember anything. My doctors call it post-traumatic amnesia. It's like my brain won't let me remember. I don't have a clue. The first thing I remember from getting blown up was seeing my driver's parents in my hospital room. And then the next thing I remember is getting on an airplane to go to James Haley VA Hospital in Florida for brain injury rehab.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. The group of other, it was you and 4 of your fellow soldiers. Were you guys all very close? Was this the same unit, if you will, that went out every single day to perform your patrols?
Oh yeah, it was our scout platoon. We were by ourselves in Diyala province, and it was just us. So we're a very close-knit family.
Mm-hmm. How long have you served with those other soldiers prior to this fateful day in August of 2006?
I think I got to the unit in April of 2006. So just a few months.
Mm-hmm. But, obviously you're together every single day, and it doesn't take a very long time to forge a bond
Right.
especially when you're in a combat zone and you guys are depending on one another, literally with your life.
Right. Right.
And so those bonds get forged very, very quickly. Now, you weren't left unscathed, if you will. I mean, again, looking at this wreckage, if you will, guys, it looks like a plane was absolutely just destroyed. That's what it looks like. It looks like that Tesla was burned down to nothing. I don't know how anybody ever made it out of this alive. But Bradley and one of his other fellow soldiers did. Now, it would leave you with an amputated right hand. It left you with multiple broken bones, severe traumatic brain injury, and several internal intestinal injuries. Now, and I've seen the pictures of what you look like at the hospital, and it looks like there's this massive bulge over your belly, if you will. Did part of your stomach get completely opened up during that explosion?
I don't know when it got open, but they had to open me up, and they couldn't get me closed back together because of all the swelling. So I had to stay like that with a skin graft over my organs for a little over a year.
What's the long-term prognosis here when it comes to your innards, if you will, with your intestines and all the damage that was done around your gut?
All these injuries are so new. There really isn't one. There's just this could happen, or that could happen, or this over here could happen. So it's just a whole bunch of let's wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, a guinea pig, if you will. I mean, your injuries again. I mean, as catastrophic as this was, again, it's a miracle that you're here with us today. And I know what you're doing now, post this life-changing experiences. You're saving lives. I mean, your story can resonate with a lot of people, and I think what's important about your story is that people don't need to go through exactly what you went through to resonate with you, because other people may be going through post-traumatic stress. They may be going through some times of anxiety and depression in their lives, and they see somebody like you that had a really bad day, and and it changed your life forever. They can look at you as somebody that is so inspiring that they can pick themselves up by just hearing your testimony. Now, 40 surgeries and survivor's guilt is what you have been left with here. Not to mention your physical pain and all of the emotional challenges that you face really on a daily basis. Can you walk us through a day in the life of Bradley?
Well, it's get up, tell God thank you for giving me another day, and then just kind of sit up in bed, let everything adjust, get dressed, and basically almost every day I go to the Warriors Weekend office and help with day-to-day operations there.
So you find yourself healing through volunteering to help other veterans.
Correct.
Love it. What type of relationships have you forged with other veterans in the community?
Pretty close-knit bonds with some of these guys, and I've had, just as many Vietnam era veterans that I help and talk to and hang out with daily than as I do my age group.
Mm-hmm. Now, you can get as vulnerable, as you want in this next question here. And if you don't want to answer it, you most certainly can't. But I think this next question could really, again, help so many others out there that are struggling through life's challenges. Now, you have had your bouts again of post-traumatic stress, and you have had those thoughts of suicide. Um, and what you have done is you've discovered the best way to honor your soldiers that were lost is to serve others through their memories. Now, can you take us to those feelings of Bradley when perhaps you weren't having a good day and that thought of suicide came into your head? What triggered that type of thought to come to your head? Because I think the only way that we're ever really going to fix and put an end to veteran suicide is to talk about the actual feelings when that thought first came into your head. Now, I know a lot of veterans go through this on a daily basis. 22 to 40 veterans every single day are taking their own lives, and it's a massive problem in this country, and it's got to be fixed. But it takes men like you, courageous men like you, to stand up and say, this was a triggering event for me, and this is how I'm going to help fix.
Hey,
yeah.
hang on 1 second.
Yeah.
You need it in the office? Yeah. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
So going back to like how you feel, like when you had those types of moments of suicide that ran through your head, what were some of the triggering events that may have led up to some of those thoughts?
It's different every time. It could be a feeling of I don't have self-worth. A couple of things could have went wrong all at the same time, and then it's like I just can't get nothing right. And then then you kind of get pushed deeper into that ditch, and then you start thinking about everything else, and then it's like, was it my fault my driver got killed, or my buddy, and it just starts snowballing.
So, I mean, it could start as something as, just waking up in a bad mood or having the slightest of triggers. And then all of a sudden, everything just starts to kind of weigh you down.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, again, man, your story is incredible, but it's a very horrifying story too, because of the good men that we lost that day when you were out there on routine patrol, and that's when a lot of these accidents happen. The wounds of war. It's always a routine day. You ask any police officer in this country, and that was either killed in the line of duty or they had a friend that was killed in the line of duty. It always starts with, well, it was a routine traffic stop.
Yeah.
And we don't ever know when these events are going to happen. And it just takes a split second for somebody's life to be forever changed. And I do sincerely and genuinely respect the hell out of you, and your strength through pure determination to want to get better, to want to go out there in the outdoors to help other veterans. And really, it's got to bring some sort of healing to you as well when you're out there. I mean, I see that you are a big bow hunter, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
And what type of organization do you belong to?
Warriors Weekend. It's a combat wounded nonprofit organization. Our big event is what the organization is named after. It was the third weekend of May. This year we had right at 300 that we flew in, and people drove in for the event, and they got to be combat wounded to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. And has that taken you all over the country?
No. That's That's just here in Texas.
Okay. Gotcha. Because I know that you have crisscrossed the country here, 18,000 miles. I mean, you're flying a lot.
No, I was driving. I drove everywhere.
No kidding.
Yes, sir.
So where has this taken you? I mean, pretty much all 50 states?
Oh no. Just from here to Colorado, as far north as Minnesota, as far east as Pennsylvania and Maryland.
Outstanding. What's your favorite game to hunt?
Probably gonna have to go with whitetail.
Deer hunt.
That it would be turkey.
Oh, turkey. Yeah, that's fun. You know, I shot a turkey up on Rampart Range, just up, from Fort Carson. I'm sure you're familiar. I don't know. Maybe you're familiar with it. Yeah, but I went to high school there in Woodland Park, just up the pass in the Springs, and so I've done some hunting up there on Rampart, and that's where our hangout was too when we were kids. That's kind of where we'd escape to. So I love the turkey hunt as well. It's I find that very, that's like you get kind of lost, in the sauce. You go out there by yourself and you kind of become a turkey. You're like, you got the calls, and then, you're sitting and waiting, and, and all of a sudden you see some gobblers come in, and all of a sudden they start chatting it up, and you just got to get that shot of, that. I mean, again, it's a very healing type experience. Is that what hunting does for you too, Bradley?
It makes me feel like I'm not crippled anymore, because I feel like I'm still my old body.
Mm-hmm. Incredible. Bradley,
helps.
what type of advice, what type of encouragement could you leave with our listeners today? Somebody's having going through a rough spell, or, it could be any life challenge. The mission and the goal of this podcast is to add real life value to the lives of everyday people. And the only way I can do that is through warriors like yourself, folks that have sacrificed everything: service, duty, honor, country. What type of advice and encouragement could you give others out there today?
No matter how bad you think it is, it could always be worse. This is nothing. I've got buddies missing both legs and an arm. I've got buddies missing both arms and a leg. This ain't nothing. It could always be worse.
It's very true, and that's some very good advice. And it's and it doesn't really take you much to come up with that. Hey, if, things could always be worse. I mean, you could have easily been killed that day, and you wouldn't be sitting here talking to me right now about how much life challenges and the struggles that you've overcome. And again, it brings me back to your why. Exactly why you are here with us today. And I think that we've made that very, very well known. It's to help other veterans. It's to get out there and to hunt with them, and to fish with them, and to share in those commonalities. When guys get together and break bread, it's a very positive thing, and it's very healthy. For folks like you that have gone through a lot of these traumatic type situations, to get better and to improve the quality of your life. Now, something that is currently going on is that you've been selected through Helping a Hero. And folks, if you don't know what Helping a Hero is, go to helpingahero.org. That's helpingahero.org. Now, you have a house like we had opened up on that's being built in Victoria, Texas. And you've been working with Meredith, who is the founder of Helping a Hero home program. How did this all come about? And when will all this come into fruition?
Well, a buddy of mine I was in the hospital with for 2 years, Shiloh Harris, he had gotten a home built for them by them, and he kept telling me I need to apply. Go ahead, I need to apply. And I never did it because I don't. There's somebody else that deserves that more than I do. Well, I applied and I got picked, and that's how all this started.
And is this a special adaptive home that is going to be specifically, for you and, your handicap, with having, your arm?
Oh, yes. It will also be ADA compliant for my buddies that are still in wheelchairs.
Ramps and everything.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. I've known a few guys that have gotten, there's a lot of different types of organizations. Homes for Our Troops is one. And I actually, back when I had my own custom landscape company before I got hurt in 2016, I actually did several free landscapes for Homes for Our Troops. So I'd go in after the house was built, we'd lay sod, some trees, some plants, some decorative rock that I would get donated from my suppliers. And I would go in there and I would donate my time, my resources, my equipment, and my men, my employees, to go in there and to build these landscapes for some of the troops that were wounded in war, either, having legs, lost, arms, and, they're struggling with, bills and to try to, take that next step in life and saying, well, I really can't do this anymore. I really can't, there's so many variables there that happen that will limit these disabled veterans from going out and gaining successful employment to be able to get that home. So I'm glad that you were one of the ones selected, because like I said, man, I've dug deep into your story, and it's a very horrifying and sad story, but something good has come of it. And despite the loss and all that stuff, man, it's just, these are always tough ones, because you're dealing with other families and other people. Again, like you said, the survivor's guilt, is real, like, why was I spared? But, again, we can only put it all into God's hands. And, things happen in life, and we don't always know why they happen. And maybe we never find out, and sometimes we do. And again, I think we found your why here. So I would like to leave the program with something very positive. Do you like my new shirt?
I do.
Sorry, I had to. Because
no, you're good.
Yeah, no, because I know we follow each other on Facebook and stuff like that, and I know that you would probably love this. I'm tired.
Yep.
But anyways, I always like to end the program on, just a positive note again. And I know you've already kind of given us some words of inspiration and stuff like that. But what can you leave us with? I'm going to give you the final remarks here, Bradley. I know you're a very busy guy, and I do sincerely appreciate you coming on and telling a little bit about your story, and again, how we can help you with helpingahero.org.
The way this world is, the shape it's in and where it's headed, I know it's kind of cliche to say this, but the whole pay it forward thing, it ain't even got to be with money. Just there's not enough people that give compliments or do, like, if I'm going into Walmart and I walk past the parking spot and it's got 2 buggies in it, just go put the buggies where they go. It's not that hard. Just little things like that. Like, I had to go do some work in Port Lavaca the other day, and I knew my boss's favorite food was this certain shrimp from this certain restaurant. So I just picked him up some and brought it to him. It's little things like that. People need to be nicer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
no,
I'll never have that bond I had with my driver. They got killed when we got blown up. He was like my little brother. I'm still friends with his family. In fact, his older brother, who works in law enforcement, was the best man at my wedding in last month.
Because of that special bond that you did have with your driver, I'm sure his mom and dad, they probably look at you as their second son now. I mean,
they asked me if I would call them mom and dad, and I said I did not have a problem with that.
Yeah, because you were there, with their son in his final moments. And again, that relationship that you forge, there's a part of your driver that is inside you. And that's why it's very important for that mom and for that dad to look at you as an extension of their son that they lost in combat, giving everything for this country. And with that, again, we can't thank you enough. Staff Sergeant Bradley Gruetzner, U.S. Army retired and Purple Heart recipient. What you got planned for the rest of the day?
I'll get out of the Jeep, go in the office, see what I got to do up here, and then I have to pick up my daughter at 3 from the summer school program she's in, and then I might take her to go fishing.
There you go.
Seems like it's something she'd like to do.
Fishing's awesome. I take my boys out all the time to Lake Conroe.
Gotcha.
Slaying catfish.
Heck yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, man, we sincerely appreciate everything you have done and continue to do in the military and veteran community. Your service, your sacrifice, and dedication to our great nation is truly admirable.
Just trying to give a hand where I can. I mean, I don't know which one I want to give this time.
Hey, man, either way.
I got you. Hey, I really appreciate you.
But hey, you have options. You have options.
Well, I've got an actual handbag full of hands if I need.
And I love your outfits, by the way. I mean, I remember that one day I met you. You were in your red, white, and blue suit. And I mean, I'm telling you, man, that was solid.
That was good times.
Yes, sir. Folks, don't forget to subscribe to the program. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Facebook, and Twitter. Folks, always remember to stay inspired, stay encouraged, stay motivated, and always stay in the fight. Until next time, for Today with Tally podcast, this is Brian Tally. Good night, Semper Fi, and God bless.